Amogus.
So Augustus is an Electro Broadsword DPS. She has 2 Forte bars, each revolving around gaining stacks. They are Prowess and Ascendancy, which I will label P and A stacks for simplicity. P stacks don't matter, and A stacks are basically what you want to focus on. So she has 2 bursts. One is normal, uses regular energy, and has a 25-second cooldown. The second is the one which is accessed when you have 2 mastery stacks. In her enhanced burst, she slashes 9 times with 1 finisher. So what are majesty stacks? Majesty stacks can be gained through 2 ways. You can either do a combo when you have full A stacks, or after triggering her outro, and then the next party member triggers another outro. With that being said, what is my day 1 rotation for Augusta? So for your first rotation, you would intro, E, BA4, heavy attack, E, BA2 or E twice, Q, and then outro. And then your repeatable rotation would be intro, Q, E, BA4, heavy attack, E, BA2, or E twice, Q, BA9, basic attack or Q, and then outro. The main difference in these rotations is that since we don't know what her normal burst looks like, I'm just assuming it's a one-hit skill that doesn't have the same mechanics as her enhanced Q, and since it also has a separate cooldown, in your repeatable rotation, you can technically use it at the start of your rotation, and then from the gameplay we've known, it goes on cooldown once you have majesty stacks, so you should have it up by the time you finish your combo string beforehand. So what are my overall thoughts of Augusta? One, I do have no idea what the P stacks are for. There's no need for them, and I really feel like they could have just made it enhanced heavy she does after you finish her basic attack string. One only really matters, and that's the one that gives majesty, i.e. the A stacks. The second thing is I don't know how you're supposed to gain majesty on her first rotation, which doesn't really matter because her damage during her second rotation should make up the difference. But it is something to point out, especially since her damage with Mortefi and Shorekeeper is similar to Carlotta. However, this is without factoring Iuno, which we will talk about right now. Iuno has 2 states. She has Half Moon, which only matters when you're playing her as your on-fielder, and New Moon. In the New Moon state, your attacks consume sentience to do more damage and restore more Concerto. This can be done through 6 basic attacks or 2 E's. When your Concerto is full, you heavy attack to create domain, then outro. So what the domain does is it gives 4% damage amp each time the character inside creates a shield up to 40%. And her outro provides 50% heavy attack damage bonus. Her day 1 rotation is very simple. It is intro, E twice, Q, jump, or heavy attack. Both the inputs are the same. B 6 times, or E twice, basic attack 2 times, heavy attack, and then swap. So, what does this mean? Iuno is basically Augustus's signature support. She's so strong that she pushes Augustus straight to Zani levels of DPR, which gives more credit to Iuno than Augustus. The thing that's concerning about her is that her damage also seems kinda dumb. In the New Moon state, her E has a 500% multiplier. If you have her Sig, she has 32% Death Ignore, alongside being able to utilize her domain. And if you stack that alongside Kakuna and her signature, which allows her to reach DPR similar to the Triple Fusion team, which is kind of absurd. Not only that, she has really fast Concerto gen, which might mean she's a Songhua upgrade in Shore Hypercarry teams as like the middle slot. This is to say that most of her damage is from the 40% damage amp from her domain and her signature. So it's kind of hard to say the pull value, because even though she does have insane damage potential and support potential, she does seem to only work with Augustus because she doesn't provide a damage amp to, let's say, other heavy attacks like Zani or GN that effectively. One side note I want to point out is that we got gameplay of these two just a few days ago, and it was playing it basically as a two-man team without a third character, and it seems like this is the intended way to play Augustus and Iuno, because Kuro's seemingly solution to Augustus not being able to gain majesty during your first rotation is to just cover your damage with Iuno, and kinda explains why Iuno didn't get a dedicated support set. Most of her kit is more focused on dealing damage than really buffing. It's kind of like a mix of both, and why her field time seems so short. The two of them together seems to be a quick swap team, and it's quite interesting design wise, and is an appealing factor if you do want to pull for both of them. TLDR, in my opinion, if you're not interested in either Augustus or Iuno, don't feel pressured to pull for them. I honestly think they are good characters, but they're not insane pulls to say. Augustus is fine with Mortefi, and she doesn't do anything new besides having a full time stop during her second burst, which in my opinion doesn't warrant shifting your pull plans just for fancy animations. And Iuno is strong for Augustus and future characters that may gain shield, but if you're pulling for a Iuno, essentially support a future character that you might want, you'd rather just go for the feature character and then just get Iuno on a rerun than hoping for it to work out. But if you are interested in getting these characters, they are solid pickups. Augustus is strong enough on her own with characters we already have, and Iuno is a really solid support for Augustus, while also can be a really good DPS if you put in the investment. Overall, in the Imposter and Feed are solid pickups, but for me, I kinda see them as an easy skip patch if you're not interested.